G'day everyone, my name is Stephen Tripp. I'm the President of Australians for Better Government, and this is something new that we are doing. I've got Mark Neugebauer with me, who is the Vice President of Australians for Better Government, and we thought we might start trying to do some of these videos for the ABG YouTube channel and also some of our platforms as well, Commanding the Narrative and Faith, Culture and Politics that Mark runs. We're both podcasters, so we thought the best way to sometimes to get information out there is by podcasting. So these are just going to be updates, hopefully regularly, maybe for about half an hour or so, just quickly talking about where Australians for Better Government is heading and what we have been doing. Mark, how are you going, mate? Good to see you again.
Yeah, good on you, Steve. And it's I've got to make a note again. I've got to send you an updated profile picture because, a lot of people, when we had the event in Adelaide, people would come up and they'd say, oh, it took me a little while to work out who you were, because most people actually did know me with the beard, and I've been a bit clean shaven for a little while. So, good to be on. I think it's a good initiative. I think we do need to be talking about lots of subjects, and we're obviously working very hard behind the scenes as a committee, and people are looking obviously at getting some direction about what we're trying to achieve, what we're trying to inform. And I think this is a good idea for us to be able to have a bit of a yarn semi-regularly to keep people updated on what's going on. So great, good on you.
Yeah, definitely. And look, congratulations, Mark, for being elected Vice President recently of Australians for Better Government. We'll talk about that at the end. I want to introduce you more to the audience and maybe flesh out some of your background and your journey to Australians for Better Government. But before we get there, I just want to encourage everyone to please go to our website, australiansforbetter.com. If you're scratching your head and wondering what we're all about, you'll find all our information on the website. If you hit this button at the top here, Our Mission, you'll find all our proposals at Australians for Better Government: reforming the Constitution, ensuring a true separation of powers, empowering voters, which we'll hopefully talk a little bit about today with the South Australian election coming up, enshrining our freedoms, and also direct democracy. As the weeks go on, we'll probably start fleshing out these one by one so you can understand them a little bit more. But for now, you can head to the website yourself and find all that information out. It's at australiansforbetter.com. And while you're at the website as well, you'll find these upcoming events. So we're very excited about these. Last year, we hosted 3 events. Obviously, Australians for Better Government is a year old. We had an event in Sydney, one on the Gold Coast, and one down in Adelaide, which is Mark's neck of the woods. This time, we're kicking off 2026 with a double header. It's going to be on the Saturday and Sunday. Firstly, the Saturday, the 2nd of May, on the Central Coast. It's We the People, Central Coast, Empowering a New Age of Government. We're going to have Dr. Christopher Reynolds come down from the Gold Coast to speak. If you've seen any of our events in the past, you'll know how well-researched Dr. Reynolds is. He's an historian, a political philosopher, and he is very well versed on the Constitution. So that's going to be a great talk from Dr. Reynolds. We've got Katie McCallum. Now, when we started putting these events together, a lot of people said, we want to have an event with Katie McCallum. We're going to do that anyway. And we said, hey, Katie's on our committee of Australians for Better Government. A lot of people don't realise that. But yes, Katie McCallum is a committee member of Australians for Better Government. So we said, how about we bring Katie down and you can hear from her directly. So a lot of people on the Central Coast were asking for Katie. So she's going to be coming down from Queensland. We have Martin Stevenson for our Central Coast event. He's a local candidate, always polls very, very well, flies under the radar, grassroots candidate. It's the type of person that we advocate for, someone that's an elected representative of the area, not just a union hack or a political staffer. He has his own small business, so it would be great to hear his perspective. And of course, myself, I'll be speaking as well. Hopefully, we can announce a few more speakers as the weeks go on. We'll let you know about that. And the next day on Sunday, it's up to East Cessnock for We the People Cessnock. Again, grab your tickets off the website. We'd love to see you there. The only difference with this event from our speakers is we won't be having Martin Stevenson. Instead, we'll be having Stuart Bonds, who is a big force up in the Hunter region. So you'll be able to come along and hear from Stuart. We're trying to twist Mark's arm to get him over. It's a big effort coming over from Adelaide, especially with the fuel prices and the airline prices at the moment. But Mark, I know you'd love to come over for those events. Are you looking forward to maybe even just watching the footage if you can't make it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, look, some great speakers, and you know, I've got to know, obviously Katie has been part of the committee, and she's an absolute trooper, and works substantial hours running a business. And you know, people probably may not realise, obviously, as a committee, like we're all volunteers. A lot of us actually do have stuff outside of being involved with Australians for Better Government, as a lot of people are. And you know, someone like Katie does is amazing, an amazing voice as well. She's got lots of energy. So, but Christopher Reynolds is always good.
Yeah.
He's put together a real thick book, and he's well read and well researched. So some good speakers, and obviously good to get some locals from the community, you know, aspiring candidates or politicians to get in there and talk as well. And like you mentioned, you know, political staffers and union hacks is something that, you know, is a real thing. You know, you mentioned that people go, oh, what do you mean? But a lot of these people are just geared from a very young age into the political realm, and I feel this is one of the things that's wrong with our country, is a lot of people they live in that bubble of being brought up that way and come through the ranks that way, rather than everyday Aussies that are just living in the thick of it, and have their own journeys to be able to shape their decision making when they're in politics. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure we'll talk a bit more about that.
Yeah, definitely. I also want to remind people, when we kicked off Australians for Better Government well over a year ago now, or just over a year ago, we had free membership. It's to encourage people to check us out. That free membership has stopped now. It's $35 for membership of Australians for Better Government. And those people that signed up for free membership in the beginning, that's expired now. So an email's gone out to remind you to renew. Now, a lot of people have been coming back to us a little bit confused on how they do that, which is great. Because we're learning as well. We host our website on Squarespace, and although we control all the content that goes on the website, a lot of that back-end stuff, like signing up for memberships, that's all integrated with Squarespace, and we don't have complete control over that. So trying to work out how people sign up and how that process works is very, very interesting. So I just want to, if anyone is on that free membership and they want to now become a financial member of Australians for Better Government, just to explain how to do that, the first thing you want to do is to go to our website, australiansforbetter.com. You hit the join button at the top here, and it will take you through to this page. And you want to scroll down to the middle option, which is the ABG member, with the $35 option. There's other options if you choose to donate, or if you want to become a VIP member, that option is there. A lot of people have taken that option up, which is encouraging, and it's great to see. But if you want to just sign up for the ABG membership, the first thing you do before you hit the sign up button is to scroll back to the top of the page and hit the login button. Now, if you've signed up for the free membership in the past, you will have already established a profile on the website, so you will need to log in first. If you don't do that, you'll be getting an error message when you try and sign up saying that your email has already been used. So log in first. It will take you to this pop-up here, and you just put in your email. If you've forgotten your password, you can click the forgot password button here, and you can reset your password, log in, and then you'll be able to sign up for the membership and become a financial member of ABG. If you didn't sign up for the free membership and you're interested in membership, you don't need to do that step. You just go straight to the join page and hit that sign up button, and you'll follow the prompts on how to become a member of ABG. And of course, becoming a member of ABG is incredibly important because it supports the work that we are doing. We are all volunteers. We don't get paid for this. All the money that comes in from those memberships goes back into ABG and allows us to host events like we're hosting in Cessnock and the Central Coast. It allows us to print material, and hopefully with more and more money coming in, we can do a lot more in terms of advertising or whatever it might be. So yeah, I know, Mark, I saw your membership recently renewed. A lot of people I know that follow you may have the free membership already. So hopefully I've explained that well enough for people out there to be able to jump on the website and sign up for membership.
Yep, no, sounds good. Yep, no, definitely worthwhile. And obviously, you know, the more people jump on board to support, the more that we can actually get done. And you know, look, our website obviously has a lot of I guess ideas about where we see Australia, what we'd like to see Australia, but none of that can come to fruition unless we, the people, agree. You know, the people of Australia actually say, we like those ideas, we want to push them forward, we might not like some of those ideas, but we also have other ideas. And this is what it's all about. It's not about Australians for Better Government saying, here's these ideas, this is what we want you to run with. That's not what we're about. Obviously, we've got to start somewhere with the conversation and get the conversation going, get that education going. But we can only do that with more people and invested people. So people that fundamentally see that something is wrong with our politics in this nation and has been over a while, and they do want to see some improvement. So if that's what you want, if that's you, then definitely encourage to get on board, get that membership in there, and support and get involved. It's the key thing, because we can't do anything without members, and we can't do anything without people that are invested in wanting to see change.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Mark, the big benefit today of speaking with you is that you are down in South Australia. We've got the South Australian election coming up on Saturday. I mean, pre-polls already started. And one of the roles that ABG has taken on is trying to educate voters on how to vote and the preference system. And it's a little bit confusing to people because the federal system is different from the state system, which is different from the local government system, and it's different in each state. So for people that are in South Australia, we're going to go through just how to vote, not who to vote for, because Australians for Better Government is non-partisan, but actually when you walk into the polling booth, understanding the power of your vote and how to use your vote. So Mark, take it away. If you're in South Australia and you're going to walk into pre-polling today or tomorrow, or you actually want to turn up on election day on Saturday, how do you vote in South Australia?
Yeah, it's a great idea to talk about that. But one of the main things is that I really want people to understand as they're watching and they're talking to family, is about your own education to vote. And I think this is the thing where we've relied over the decades of political parties guiding how they'd like us to vote, to follow other political parties or independents. But those political parties and independents may not totally align with your worldview. So the key is for people to actually be invested. So my biggest kickoff is actually getting people to understand that their vote is massively important. And just to draw a little bit further on that is, and I've covered this in previous podcasts, is the idea that I fully understand there's some very frustrated Australians, South Australians and Australians, that have lost hope in the system. And if other people have been encouraging people, saying, look, what's the use of voting? Don't even go out there and cast a vote, just cast a dummy vote, because it's not going to make a difference. Now, personally, I do not subscribe to that. I fully understand and acknowledge how people and why people are feeling that way. 100% do. But we had something like 160,000 odd people in previous elections over the last few years that were registered to vote that didn't vote. And then, so there's about 100 to 120,000, and then about 40,000 that cast a ballot, but it was an invalid ballot. Now, just to put that into context, that's nearly 1.5 quotas in the Legislative Council. So if you've got if you lean a certain way, whether you be centre or a little bit left of centre or right of centre, that is potentially 1.5 Legislative Council members that you could have potentially helped to get another seat. So this is how important it is. And so there's two things there. I acknowledge that you're frustrated, but I also believe that you cannot complain any further if the system continues to go to pot and the country goes to pot with people that have been elected, if you actually haven't gone in there and participated. So that's a real big thing, and I'm big on that, and a lot of people might disagree with me. I know there's commentators on there that are actually openly encouraging people not to vote, which I don't agree with. So I kind of wanted to make that point. As far as sorry.
I just want to add in as well. I mean, you made a very good point about people not going to vote, but the other big point as well is people that vote informally, either by choice or by accident. And a lot of that comes down to education, where they don't know how to vote. So these are contributing factors that I think people need to be aware of. If you are out there and you're choosing not to vote, or you're choosing to vote informally, or maybe you just don't understand and you vote informally, I mean, that's a big percentage of the population, a significant percentage of the population that can sway elections.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, and that's why I've been pretty hot on it myself. And I'm one of these people that has lost confidence in government. So I understand where people are at, and that's why I'm involved with Australians for Better Government, because I do want to see some changes. So, but in regards to going out to vote, obviously you're going to be attacked by people that are going to give you the how to vote cards. Now here in South Australia, it's almost an obligation for political parties to print and show their voter base how they would like them to vote, who they would preference. But the main thing that I want people to take away is that regardless of what the media says, politicians say, the how to vote cards say, you control the vote, you control the person you vote for. So the way I look at it for myself, and this is just personal, if you've got candidates, and it comes back to that research, if you've got candidates in your electorate, and let's say you might swing a little bit right of centre, you look at candidates and parties. If you've got a number one, let's say it is the Liberal Party, or let's say it is One Nation, and you're kind of leaning with that, you look for candidates and political parties that somewhat align with that and put them next in order on your lower, I'm talking about lower house ballots here, your electorates, and put them down. And the way I see it, the people that least align with your style of politics, well, they really should go at the bottom of your ticket, because they really, you don't align with their politics, their party, their views. And if it's a candidate or party that is there, you'd put them down the bottom. So with the green slip that you get in your electorates, like your individual electorates, there's 47 of them, you must number every single box. Now we have candidates ranging from 5 candidates in some electorates all the way through to 12 candidates in some electorates, and there's 47. Now you must number, if you've got 12 in your electorate, you'll have to number every single box in order from 1 to 12, from your most popular pick at number 1 down through to the least party that you would align with, party or independent, down to say number 12 if you've got an electorate with 12 candidates. If you've got an electorate with 5 candidates, it's obviously 1 through to 5, but you have to number them and make it legible. Now I recommend personally bringing your own pen and making sure it's done in pen. You will be provided with pencils, but that's just my personal recommendation, is you bring your own pen and make sure that the numbers are legible and easy to read, and number every single box. So the legislative, that is obviously the lower house. Now there has been some conversations here in South Australia where a lot of the major parties have obviously done that, and they've got their how to vote cards for voters. And in particular here in South Australia, and it would have been in the news, people would have seen it, One Nation has chosen not to do that. They've just put a number 1 against their candidate themselves and left the rest of the boxes blank. Now that just all that means, if you're aligned with One Nation and that's the type of politics that you follow, then it really just makes sense to look at candidates that align with that kind of politics and style and put them in numbers 2, 3, 4 onwards, and then obviously the ones that are diametrically opposed to, I guess, One Nation's politics, you'd obviously put them at the bottom, and you'd put them at 12, 11, 10, and so forth. But that is something that and there is some questions about how they were able to do that. There is some conversations about that they've done a deal with the Electoral Commission of South Australia to be able to do that, and their preferences flow, and those sorts of things. But ultimately, the individual voter controls where your preferences go. So the recommendation is that obviously in future do your research. If you haven't, then choose parties and independents that align with your style of politics, but number every single box.
And to flesh out a little bit what Mark was just saying, so this green ballot is for the House of Assembly, which is what it's called in South Australia. It's a little bit different in each state, but the House of Assembly in South Australia, that's where the government is formed. So that's where the Premier sits. That's where the government is elected to be in government. So that's the green house. So this is both houses are important, but that's the structure of the House of Assembly. And if we take this example of just the 4 candidates, say for example this ballot was Liberal Party, One Nation, Labor, and the Greens. Well, if you're on the left side of politics, you might want to vote Greens number 1. If you want to keep your vote on the left side of politics, then your vote number 2 would probably go to Labor. Your vote number 3 would probably go to the Liberal Party, and then your vote number 4 would go to One Nation. And if you're on the right side of politics, your 1 or 2 might be the Liberal or One Nation Party, and then you would have Labor and the Greens 3 or 4. So that's how it works. And if your number 1 exhausts, they don't win, your vote will go to the number 2. If they don't win, it will go to the number 3. And that's how preferential system of voting works here in this country. So just be aware of that. It's a lot of people just throw the numbers around randomly. Your vote will carry if you vote for a party that is eliminated throughout the process. Your vote is powerful. So as Mark was saying earlier, be educated, understand what these different candidates are about, understand what their parties are about, and look at each one of them and really strategically use your preferences to make your vote count effectively. Now, that's the lower house. Mark, you want to touch on the upper house, because that the way of voting is different again.
Yeah, and look, very important. You'll get obviously a big white long slip which has a whole heap of parties along the top. So it's broken up into 2 sections. You got above the line voting, where all the parties are listed in order from A through to G, and I don't have it sort of in front of me at the moment. But and then below the line, you'll have each individual candidate that belongs to that party in number. So if you're looking at any particular party, they will have a lead legislative council candidate. So someone that's at number 1, you'll have number 2, 3, 4, 5, depending on how many they're running. So let's talk about the above the line first. Now, the Electoral Commission of South Australia only expects you to put a number 1 in 1 box legibly, and that's all they require you to do. Is, let's say you do support the Labor Party, they're saying, we'll put a number 1 with the Labor Party, and that's it. That vote is a valid vote. Now, following Anthony Green and other commentators, over the last few years, we changed the system where the parties used to be able to preference, and that the preference flow would be automatic. Now it's in the hands of the actual independent voters. Now, what ended up happening when they made those changes is, if you put a number 1 in the upper house above the line and didn't preference anybody else, your vote actually exhausts. So it doesn't go any further. Now, let's say if you're Labor, and you might have another party, like, whether it's the Cannabis Party or the Greens, and obviously Labor's on most of the how to vote cards have recommended Greens. So let's say that if you're a Labor voter and you want your vote not to exhaust, well, then you would put Greens or Australian Animal Party or whatever, the Animal Justice Party, whatever, and do that. So you can number all the boxes above the line. What Anthony Green was saying and other commentators is, if you only put a 1, your vote actually exhausts. If let's say you have a minor party, not a party that's not as strong as Labor, and there might be a risk of them not being elected, and you put a number 1, let's say it is the Animal Justice Party, and they don't happen to get enough votes to get someone elected, your votes get wasted, right? So the quota is around 90,000 votes for someone to get elected in the Legislative Council. If the Animal Justice Party happens to only get 75,000 votes, and there's no preferences that flow to them, they get eliminated, but your vote then doesn't go any further. But if you then put Greens and Labor there, then that your vote for them, once they're eliminated, will jump to the next party rather than eliminate.
I also want to make the point. Did you say it was 9,000 votes, the quota?
90, about 90, between
sorry,
90,
90,
it's about 8%. Yeah, 90,000.
Okay.
Yep.
So I just want to point out, so in the upper house, the Legislative Council, which we're talking about, that's the House of Review. So the government doesn't get formed in that house, but that's where you see a lot of minor parties get elected, because a lot of people use that vote strategically to put minor parties in that role to hold the government to account. So that's how the upper house works. But look, let's be frank, it seems like Labor's going to win in a landslide in this election, and they're probably going to pick up a whole bunch of upper house seats, just as they're going to probably form government in the lower house. And you might be thinking, look, I'm just going to vote 1 Labor and not preference, because Labor's going to get my vote anyway. It's not going to exhaust. The way that the upper house works, it works on a quota system. So as Mark said, 90,000 is a quota. So if say, for example, Labor gets 4 quotas, so that earns them 4 upper house representatives, that final quota might only be half that. It might be 45,000, which means that that final bit of votes do need to carry on. So if you do vote one Labor, your vote can still exhaust if it falls into that final quota that doesn't meet the full quota. So you just need to keep that in mind. A lot of people that vote for major parties think, well, what's the point of preferencing? My vote's going to go to my party anyway. Keep that in mind. Same thing for the Liberal Party. Same thing for One Nation. They're talking about One Nation maybe becoming the opposition in South Australia and getting ahead of the Liberal Party. You always want to use your preferences wisely. And it is optional preferential voting, so you can number as many boxes as you want. But if you are just going to put that number 1 vote, just always keep in the back of your mind that your vote is likely to probably exhaust. Same thing if you're voting for some of the minor parties, and there are quite a lot of minor parties floating around. I'm aware of Mark Aldridge's party, United Australia. What is it? United First?
United Voice, yeah.
United Voice,
yep.
Sorry, United Voice. There's Sarah Games' party, Fair Game. There's the Family Party. So there's Family First. There's a few parties that are floating around that are not likely to get elected. They may get elected. You never know what's going to happen in an election. So if you vote 1, 2, 3, 4, all those parties that I mentioned, it's likely that your vote's going to exhaust as well. So you want a backstop. So if you're on the right side of politics, your backstop would likely be One Nation or the Liberal Party. That is because those 2 parties on the right side of politics are the ones that are most likely going to get elected. So you put them 5 and 6 or 5 or 6. Same thing on the left side of politics. If you're voting Animal Justice or the Socialist Party, or I don't know, some of the left-leaning parties that are out there, you want your backstop to either be Labor or the Greens, because they're the 2 parties on the left side of politics that are likely to get an upper house representative. So keep that in mind as well. You need your backstop there. We have done videos in the past about backstops. We've fleshed that out a bit more. I don't know, we're going a bit over time today. You can also vote below the line in the upper house. Mark, you want to explain how that works?
Yeah, so really quickly. So below the line is a little bit different. It is, you do have to number a minimum, which is 12. So if you mark any less than that, obviously the ballot becomes invalid. So 12 is the absolute minimum. You number them in order from 1 through to 12. But I know people that actually number every single box, and they choose their candidates from 1 all the way through to whatever it ends up being. But again, it's the same thing in this case. If you've got, let's say, if you've got a sort of right-leaning political parties and candidates, but you, let's say One Nation has 5 candidates, but you don't necessarily agree with all 5 candidates that they've listed in their box in that order, but you actually like someone from Family First or the Liberals, what you can actually do is you can mark your boxes from 1 to 12 and jump from, say, Liberal to Family First to Family Party, to One Nation, and mark them in the order that you like that individual person. So it's almost like voting for, like you do in the lower house, for the individual person that you'd like the most, that you think is going to represent you based on your research and what you've done. So it's really, if you're voting below the line, I'd expect you to be someone that has really researched your political parties and candidates, and understands it really, really well, so you can actually number them in order of the preference that you actually like the individual persons. Because remember, the people are the ones that are going to represent you. It's not the party. It's the person on the floor every single day that's going to represent you in the parliament, whether it be the lower house or the upper house, and they're going to be working for you. So if you're not happy with the order of candidates that the party's chosen above the line, and they've put them in order of candidate, like if we use One Nation, you've got Corey Bernardi, you've got Carlos Coemba, you've got Rebecca Hewitt, and I forget what the other one is. Now, if you don't like them in that order from number 1 Corey, you can put them in whatever order you want. So you've got actually more control. Below the line, you've got more control. But if you're not researched and you're not sure, then above the line, and then don't let your vote exhaust. Choose parties and candidates that align with your initial number one and number them in that way. So I think that's probably the best and easiest way to explain that.
And look, the above and below the line topic, voting is a topic within Australians for Better Government. Mark will probably do a video at a later stage where we really flesh that out. But if you look at the Constitution, you're meant to be voting for the elected representative, not the party. The parties are not mentioned in the Constitution, apart from one referendum that was included later when it talks about casual vacancies. Now, if, as Mark said, if you vote the Labor Party, then they win multiple upper house seats, their preferences are dictated by the party. So they'll go in order 1, 2, 3, 4, and etc. that are listed on that ballot. Now, if you don't agree with that, and a good example of that is the Fair Game Party. Sarah Game is asking people not to vote for her party above the line because her lead candidate has defected and has announced that they will become an independent if they are elected. She's asking people to vote below the line to skip that first number and that first candidate and vote for her number 2. So this is an example of how to use below the line voting. And as Mark said, if you don't agree with some of the candidates that are listed in your party, you can vote below the line to choose whichever way that you want your vote to go. So hopefully we've fleshed that out for people. They understand. Reach out to us if you would like. Our email is info@australiansforbetter.com if you don't completely understand the system, you want some more clarification, or you can head to the South Australian Electoral Commission website, which I've just been showing on the screen. It is ecsa.sa.gov.au, and all that information is up there. It's pretty clear. It's a good resource, so I encourage everyone to go there. Now, Mark, I said we are going over time. I know you're short of time as well. We did want to devote this to talking about you and introducing yourself to the audience. Do you want to, maybe we can push that off to next week if you're running out of time, because we didn't realize that the South Australian election probably was something worthy of talking about, and it is. So we can push that off to next time. It's up to you, mate, or if you want to quickly go through a little bit of background about yourself. I think we probably should dedicate a whole half hour to yourself and introduce you to the audience. But
yeah, look, I'm happy with that. Let's just have a bit of a yarn, and so people understand sort of what's driven me towards getting involved with Australians for Better Government. Someone who was politically agnostic before for quite some time of my life. I'm in my mid-50s and didn't get politically involved until quite recently, and for a lot of obvious reasons. But yeah, it's definitely worth fleshing that out and what's led to that, rather than rushing through that, I think. So
yeah, let's leave it for another time so we can really flesh that out. Now, just to finish up, I just want to rehash some of the things that we talked about in the beginning, and that's by heading go to the website, look at our information, look at our proposals. You can find that all up in our mission area. If you want to learn about who's on the actual committee of Australians for Better Government, you'll find that in the About tab at the top. And we've also got a bunch of articles, some of which that I've written, some of which that Mark's written, that are very, very good, including some of our press releases that we put out. You'll find that in the article section. So check those out if you're interested in some of maybe fleshing out some more of our views, or maybe even just some discussion points. Mark's very good at that, raising some discussion points. And it might not be purely ABG proposals, but something that's definitely worth talking about. So check that out. And of course, if you are on the Central Coast, we'd love to see you at our We the People event on the 2nd of May. Head to the website, you'll get your tickets there. And if you're in Cessnock, at the East Cessnock Bowling Club on Sunday the 3rd of May, we'd love to see you there as well. And come along and hear more about Australians for Better Government. People that have come to our events in the past always walk away saying that they're great events. They learn a lot. They get to meet some great people, and they find that our events are extremely valuable. And they're I think, well priced. They're only $20. It's hopefully not going to break the bank account. I know times are tough at the moment, but hopefully $20. It just covers the cost of hiring the venue and everything like that. So I do encourage everyone to come along. As I said as well, please go back to the beginning of this episode if you're struggling with your membership and you can't work out how to use the website. We've already had some people reach out already. You can reach out to us at info@australiansforbetter.com if you are struggling with signing up to be a member. I do encourage you to persist We will try and help you through it because it is so valuable for us to have members and have a strong membership base, because it's going to mean that we are more effective in pushing forward with our proposals. But Mark, that's it for today. Thank you so much for coming on. It's going to be a pleasure doing this with you going forward, and hopefully we can do this more often. So thank you so much, Mark.
Not too easy. Looking forward to it. Really, I'm looking forward to sharing what we're doing with the community, and it opens up questions from them as well. And it may be some challenging things that we might have to discuss that they might bring up. And I think that's what it's all about. I think if we're getting the feedback from our audience and the people that are out there in the community, it lets us be able to unpack those as well, because we really do want a better government, because something's got to change.
Yep, definitely. Well said. Okay, everyone, we'll see you next time. Thank you.